Women's Air Warfare Symposium in Orlando, Florida. The aircraft we have on the ramp are too old. We need to revitalize the fleet. Chief of Staff General Dave Goldfein tied aircraft readiness issues to the morale problems plaguing the force and prompting good airmen to leave. Pilots who don't fly, maintainers who don't maintain, controllers who don't control, will not stay with their Air Force, Goldfein said. Declining readiness is especially concerning given the relatively small size of the Air Force's fleet. The Air Force had a total of 5,447 aircraft last year. That's up slightly from the 5,430 aircraft in 2015, but down from the 5,476 aircraft in 2014, and a far cry from the roughly 8,600 aircraft in the Air Force's inventory during Desert Storm. The fluctuations in mission-capable rates are hitting different airframes differently, and not all are dropping. Indeed, some have shown improvement. But overall, especially in some of the Air Force's most crucial aircraft, readiness is continuing to fall or remaining at concerningly low levels. In 2015, for example, 67% of F-22s were ready to fly. Last year, the Raptor's readiness plunged to 60%, the lowest since at least 2009. Staff Sergeant Shane Dewey of the 332nd Expeditionary Maintenance Squadron inspects an engine while deployed to Southwest Asia. Photo credit, Staff Sergeant Ebony Reeves, Air Force. Mission-capable rates for the Air Force's B-2 Spirit bombers dropped from 56% to 51% over that time, while the B-1 Lancer rates increased from 47% to not quite 52%. Despite the improvement, on average, about half of the Air Force's B-1S and B-2S are grounded. The A-10 Warthog attack planes, IC-130U Spooky gunships, C-130H and J transport aircraft, E-3 AWACS, MC-130 Special Operations Transport and Refueling Planes, KC-135 Refueling Planes, F-15D, F-16C and D and F-35 fighters, T-1A and T-38C trainers, and A-1 Newton Huey helicopters also saw readiness declines of varying degrees last year. When mission-capable rates for aircraft slip, it affects more than just the Air Force's ability to accomplish its missions, said Brigadier General Stacey Hawkins, Director of Logistics, Engineering and Force Protection for Air Mobility Command. It forces us to prioritize the real-world missions over our training and readiness requirements, Hawkins said. When the mission-capable rates are lower, it affects the long-term readiness of our fleets, our ability to train our air crews, and it has a ripple effect that can take years to fix. Hawkins said seemingly small dips in mission-capable rates can have significant effects on AMC's ability to move people, weapons, fuel and supplies. Each percentage change is a reduction in capability, Hawkins said. A hypothetical 5 percentage point change in the C-17 MC rate comes out to be approximately 10 aircraft. And when you look at the work measured by million-ton miles per day, that's cargo carrying capacity that's reduced across the board when we see something as small as a 5% change in mission-capable rates. C-17 rates have remained largely unchanged, at about 85%. Managing aircraft readiness is a delicate balance between budgetary, manning and resource realities, modernization needs, training, and operational requirements, said Colonel Michael Lawrence, Chief of the Maintenance Division in the Air Force's Directorate of Logistics. In most cases, aircraft are brought to the depot at pre-planned intervals, usually about every 400 flight hours for most platforms, for expected maintenance and to look for hidden problems. Just like in our cars, if you get the check engine light on the dashboard and take it into the dealership, they do what the manual calls for, Lawrence said. We do the same with airplanes. When it can, The Air Force also tries to conduct planned upgrades to aircraft while they're already looking under the hood, so to speak. For example, Lawrence said, 2 of the Air Force's 20 B-2A Spirit bombers are now in program depot maintenance, and 2 others are getting modifications. Additional B-2s might need inspections or other repairs, which contributed to the bombers' slide in mission-capable rates last year. But even with B-2s in the shop for one reason or another, the Air Force still needs those bombers to fly training sorties at home and support security packages around the world. For example, 2 B-2s flew a 34-hour mission in January from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri to Libya, where they led a strike against an Islamic State training camp near Sirte. However, flying such a small fleet of advanced bombers so heavily can lead to further problems, Lawrence said. When you start to fly the same aircraft over and over and over again, the possibility of having some second and third order effects, when an aircraft breaks and you're not able to fix it, begin to manifest themselves, Lawrence said. Some of the Air Force's newest and most advanced fighter jets are experiencing problems of their own that keep them from flying. The F-22A Raptor is having problems with its low observable, or stealth, coating, Lawrence said. In high-flow areas, what's essentially happening is there's a gradual deterioration of the stealth coatings, and they begin to liquefy on the surface, he said. So if their low observable coatings aren't doing what we need them to do, then the platform loses its ability to do its primary mission, which is get behind enemy lines without detection. This means airmen have to spend more time reapplying the stealth coating on the Raptor, which means less time in the air. The F-35A Lightning II has similar issues with its stealth coating, he said, but not to the same degree as the F-22. The F-22 is also having issues with its spare parts inventory, Lawrence said. The Air Force conducted modeling on the Raptor to try to predict which parts would break first, to make sure depots had plenty of spares on hand. But other parts, particularly avionics components and relay parts, started to break earlier than expected, Lawrence said. And because the Air Force hadn't predicted an increased need for them, it's been running out, further delaying some Raptors' return to the air. The Air Force also grounded 13 of its 96 F-35s last year after discovering insulation on coolant tubes was peeling and crumbling, which left potentially damaging residue in the fighter's fuel. Those planes resumed flying after 2 months of repairs. That was probably the biggest issue that impacted the F-35, Lawrence said. Hawkins said the age of some of AMC's veteran aircraft are causing supply chain issues of their own. Some AMC planes, such as the average 54-year-old KC-135 tanker, rely on parts made by companies that have either gone out of business or stopped making those parts years ago. For example, the KC-135 is based on a Boeing 707 platform, and the last 707 rolled off the line in 1991. Airmen from the 25th Aircraft Maintenance Unit load munitions onto an A-10 Thunderbolt II during an exercise in South Korea. The Air Force's aging A-10 fleet has seen a decline in readiness over the last year. But it wasn't always huge contractors who stopped